The search for the Holy Grail is a journey that spans centuries, full of mysteries and revelations. But what if everything we know about the Grail is about to be challenged? Imagine that it is not just a Holy Grail, but a secret lineage, a hidden legacy that can change everything. What would happen if the true Grail was directly linked to the blood of Jesus? What if, behind the legends, there was a deep spiritual knowledge, reserved only for the few who hold the truth? This insinuating theory leads us to question what really happened to Christ's teachings, and what secrets have his closest followers kept over the years. Get ready to dive into a world where secret societies, ancient traditions, and spirituality intertwine. As we explore these connections, you will discover that the Holy Grail may hold the key to a spiritual power that many prefer to keep hidden. What is behind this mystery? What else is hidden in the shadows of history? Follow us as we uncover the secrets that can transform your understanding of the Grail and its connection with the figure of Jesus. The legend of the Holy Grail. The legend of the Holy Grail is one of the most fascinating stories in Western tradition. From Arthurian narratives, where the Grail is often described as a Holy Grail, to more contemporary interpretations, the Grail has always sparked people's imagination. Many versions say that it was used by Jesus during the Last Supper, which makes it an object of great reverence. The search for the Grail, therefore, is not only a physical adventure, but also a spiritual journey. As time passed, the Holy Grail gained new layers of meaning. In some narratives, it is seen as a symbol of purity and enlightenment, while in others, it represents the search for truth and redemption. This multiplicity of meanings made the Grail a cultural icon, present in various forms of art and literature. Thus, each generation reinterpreted the Grail according to their own beliefs and values. There are also those who suggest that the Grail may not be a physical object, but rather a state of being or a level of consciousness. This idea transforms the search for the Grail into a metaphor for the search for self-knowledge and spirituality. Instead of a chalice, the Grail can represent personal fulfillment and connection to something greater than ourselves. Furthermore, the legend of the Holy Grail is closely linked to the cycle of life and death. Many heroes of the Arthurian stories face challenges that cause them to question their own lives and purposes. This internal struggle reflects the journey of each of us in search of our own Grail, that is, a meaning for our lives and a purpose that guides us. Ultimately, the legend endures because it touches on universal themes that resonate with us all: the search for truth, the fight against evil, and the hope of redemption. The Holy Grail, therefore, remains a powerful symbol that transcends time, inviting us to explore our own spirituality and the depth of our human experiences. The blood of Christ as symbolism. When talking about the Holy Grail, many think of the relationship between it and the blood of Christ. This connection is quite intriguing and has generated discussions over the centuries. Some believe that the Grail represents Jesus' sacred lineage, suggesting that it is not just an object, but rather a symbol of what lies behind Christian history. This perspective gives the Grail an even more mystical and powerful character. The idea that the Grail may contain the blood of Christ implies that it is a repository of divinity and humanity. For many, this combination is fundamental to understanding the nature of Jesus. The lineage suggested by this theory does not just refer to physical blood, but also to a spiritual inheritance that transcends generations. This view raises questions about what it means to be part of sacred history and how this affects believers' religious identity. Furthermore, this symbolism of blood is also related to the idea of sacrifice. The blood of Christ, shed out of love for humanity, is seen as an act that brings redemption. The Grail, in this context, becomes a symbol of hope and salvation, offering a direct connection between the faithful and divinity. This relationship is one of the reasons why the legend continues to fascinate and inspire contemporary spirituality. The connection between the Grail and the blood of Christ also influences how people interpret life and death. Many religious traditions emphasize the importance of sacrifice as a means of achieving salvation. Thus, the Holy Grail becomes a symbol not just of quest, but of transformation and rebirth. This idea is central to understanding the various narratives surrounding the Grail throughout history. Finally, the symbolism of Christ's blood invites reflection on the nature of faith itself. For many, this relationship is a reminder that spirituality is not just about beliefs, but also about deep experiences and connections. The Holy Grail, therefore, becomes a starting point for exploring the complexity of faith and the spiritual lineage that unites us. Hidden knowledge and secret traditions. The idea that the Holy Grail could be a symbol of hidden knowledge is fascinating and thought-provoking. Many believe that this knowledge was transmitted by Jesus and his apostles, and that it is guarded by secret societies such as the Templars and the Rosicrucians. This connection suggests that the Grail is not just an object, but a vehicle for spiritual wisdom that has been hidden throughout history. The notion that there is knowledge that can only be accessed by a select group of people creates an air of mystery around the Grail. For those who seek this hidden knowledge, the journey itself becomes as important as the final destination. This quest often involves rituals, teachings, and traditions that are not easily understood by the general public, which further increases the fascination surrounding the Grail. Furthermore, the idea of occult knowledge can be seen as a critique of traditional religious institutions. Many believe that true spirituality is beyond conventional doctrines and that the Grail represents a form of liberation from dogma. Thus, the search for the Grail becomes a metaphor for the search for inner truth, where each individual must find their own path. Secret traditions are also linked to the idea that the Grail can represent a direct connection to the divine. Occult knowledge, then, is not just intellectual knowledge, but a spiritual experience that transforms the lives of those who seek it. This view suggests that everyone has the ability to achieve this wisdom, as long as they are willing to embark on the journey. Finally, the Grail as a symbol of hidden knowledge invites us to question the truths we accept without doubt. Rather than simply following what we are taught, the quest for the Grail encourages us to explore, investigate, and discover what truly resonates in our hearts and souls. In this way, the legend of the Holy Grail becomes a powerful tool for self-discovery and spiritual expansion. Esoteric and alchemical interpretations. The Holy Grail over the centuries became more than a simple chalice. In esoteric and alchemical traditions, it is seen as a symbol of spiritual transformation. For many, the Grail represents the search for enlightenment and the process of self-knowledge. This vision is fascinating, as it suggests that, just as alchemists sought to transform base metals into gold, the Grail is a metaphor for the inner transformation we can all seek in our lives. Furthermore, alchemy, with its mysterious and symbolic practices, uses the Grail as a central element in its narratives. It is often associated with the idea that, to achieve true wisdom, it is necessary to go through a process of purification and transmutation. This alchemical journey reflects everyone's internal struggle, where the Grail becomes the ultimate goal, a higher state of being that everyone wishes to achieve. Esoteric traditions also emphasize the importance of the Grail as a symbol of occult knowledge. It is believed to contain profound truths that have been preserved over time, accessible only to those who truly seek. This knowledge is not just intellectual, it is spiritual and implies a deeper connection with the universe and with oneself. The Grail, therefore, becomes a symbol of a path that few have the courage to follow. Many occultists and esotericists have dedicated their lives to deciphering the mysteries of the Grail. They believe that through spiritual practices and meditations, they can access this hidden knowledge. This quest is often solitary, but it is seen as essential for those who wish to transcend common human experience and achieve a broader understanding of reality. Ultimately, the idea that the Holy Grail is a symbol of spiritual transformation resonates with many people today. In a world where the search for meaning and purpose is intense, the Grail becomes a beacon of hope. He reminds us that the true journey is not external but internal, and that each of us has the potential to discover our own Grail. The influence of the Holy Grail on popular culture. The Holy Grail left an indelible mark on popular culture. From movies to books, the search for this mysterious object has been a constant source of inspiration. Works such as Monty Python and the Holy Grail and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade show how the Grail is often portrayed as an artifact of extraordinary power, promising not only riches but also wisdom and enlightenment. These depictions, however entertaining, shape public perception of the Grail. Many people may not know the historical and esoteric complexities associated with it, but they have a clear idea that it is something special. This simplification, although it may seem reductive, also facilitates access to this rich symbology, allowing more people to connect with the idea of the Grail on an emotional level. Additionally, the Grail is often used as a symbol of quest and desire. In contemporary narratives, it represents the journey we all undertake in our lives, in search of something greater. This idea resonates strongly in a society where personal fulfillment and self-knowledge are highly valued. The Grail then becomes an archetype that represents the search for meaning. Video games have also explored the theme of the Holy Grail, creating immersive stories that allow players to embark on their own journeys in search of this symbol. This not only keeps the legend alive, but also reinvents it, adapting it to new media and new generations. The interactivity of the games provides a unique experience where each player can feel that the search for the Grail is, in a way, personal and unique. Ultimately, the Holy Grail's influence on popular culture is a testament to its continued relevance. Through modern media, the legend of the Grail continues to evolve, capturing everyone's imagination and challenging us to consider what this symbol represents in our own lives. The search for the Grail thus becomes a reflection of our deepest aspirations and longings. Spiritual and philosophical implications. The connection between the Holy Grail and the blood of Christ brings to light a series of reflections on contemporary spirituality. For many, this idea is not just a matter of faith, but a search for deeper meaning in life. The notion that the Grail represents a sacred lineage, a continuity of divinity, generates a feeling of belonging and religious identity. This leads people to question their own spiritual origins and seek answers about their connection with the divine, as if everyone could be part of this sacred lineage. Furthermore, this perspective fuels the search for deeper knowledge about the humanity of Christ. By relating the Grail to the blood of Jesus, many are encouraged to explore the duality between the human and the divine. This reflection results in a desire to better understand one's own nature and life's challenges, leading to a path of self-knowledge and personal transformation. The idea that everyone can, in some way, share in this sacred legacy provokes a feeling of hope and connection. On the other hand, the association of the Grail with occult knowledge also has its implications. This symbolism suggests that there are deep truths and teachings that have been kept secret throughout history. Secret societies such as the Templars and Rosicrucians are often mentioned in this context. For many, the search for this secret knowledge becomes a spiritual journey, where each step is seen as a revelation. This search is not only external but also internal, leading to the discovery of hidden aspects of oneself. This idea of hidden knowledge also instigates reflection on faith and reason. In an increasingly rational world, where science often overlaps with spirituality, the search for a Grail that symbolizes deeper truths represents a challenge. People find themselves torn between belief in something transcendent and scientific logic. This duality can create a fertile space for dialogue about what is truly sacred and how everyone can find their own truth. Ultimately, the quest for the Holy Grail, whether as a symbol of sacred lineage or occult knowledge, reflects a universal need for connection with something greater. This spiritual journey is actually a search for meaning and purpose in a world that often seems chaotic. As people explore these questions, they come across the very essence of spirituality, where everyone can find their own path to the divine. This reflection is an invitation to introspection and the discovery that deep down everyone is searching for something that transcends everyday experience. And so, as we delve into the depths of this mystery, we are faced with an intriguing question. What does the Holy Grail really mean? Is it just a cup? Or is it something much deeper, like a sacred lineage or hidden knowledge? The idea that the Grail may be linked to the blood of Jesus or to secret teachings leads us to reflect on what we know and what has been hidden for centuries. Let's imagine for a moment that the answers we seek are not intangible objects, but within ourselves. How about considering that this search for the Grail is, in fact, a spiritual journey. What if the true bearers of this knowledge are those who dedicate themselves to understanding the love and compassion that Jesus preached? After all, how many truths can be hidden between the lines of history, and what secrets are still waiting to be revealed? Let's continue exploring, questioning, and unraveling these mysteries together. What do you think about all this? Have you ever wondered if the Holy Grail might be closer than we think? Leave your ideas in the comments and continue with us on this fascinating journey.